Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kiana Hines, your certified holistic nutritionist, and this is Nourishment 101. If you're new to my channel, then you'll know that everything that I talk about I consider to be through my eyes, and I'm just sharing it with you. So take what resonates with you and what doesn't, just leave it. It may make sense to you at another time, or it may never make sense, but just don't try to force anything here. Everything that I like to give I consider as nourishment, and so that means that it can come in the form of information from food, or from wow, from music, from wherever, because everything is frequency. And that leads us into this video, which is the second part of the frequency video that I have promised for one of my viewers. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to show you is the electromagnetic spectrum, and let me get that pulled up on the screen for you. Just bear with me here. Okay, so you'll see that the frequencies, they range from radio waves all the way to gamma waves, and there may be some that we're not even familiar with, to be honest, but the frequency is basically the number of times that a wave repeats itself per time. And the wave frequency is just a function of like a half circle, and we actually call that sine. Okay, and if you understand how a lot of our language is derived from Latin, then many times it's best to go back to the Latin origin in order to understand what a word truly means. So if you look at sine wave in the dictionary, it says a simple harmonic motion. So you were born in a world of sound, in a world of harmony, music, okay? And in Psalms chapter 51, verse 5, it says, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." And then chapter 51, verse 8 says, "Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice." You were born in a world of sin, or sign, harmonics. And this is explained better when you look at the keyboard, and I will break that down to you in just a moment. But when you look at this electromagnetic wave function, you can see that there's only a portion of that that's visible to us. This is where we were born, on the electromagnetic spectrum. There are many different things that exist in the frequencies around us that are outside of our visibility. And this is where it's important for you to understand how you can change your vibration and your frequency just by the information that you take into your body and your ears, and also being able to rise up out of it. And I'll teach you that later. But right now, I just want you to understand that these frequencies that are around you are, they have other living things in them. So just because you transition from one to the other doesn't mean that you're gone and that you're not ever, going to exist anymore. You will exist. You'll just exist in a different frequency. And people in this world may not be able to see you, but I'm pretty sure there's another world out there of people that will be vibrating on the same frequency as you are, no matter where you go, how high or how low. Okay, so with that being said, I want you to understand that frequency is everything. It is sound, it is music, it is everything. And that takes us to, if you look at the keyboard, okay? Let's pull up a keyboard. The frequencies are divided like the notes in music. So if you look at the piano, the white keys are the whole notes and the black keys are your half notes. The white keys from C to C are your octaves. And the black keys are the pentatonic scale, which contain 5 pitches per octave. When you add them together, you get 12 notes called the chromatic scale. Where else have you seen the number 12? The sun and the 12 zodiacs. It goes through the 12 zodiacs. Jesus and the 12 disciples. And then all throughout different cultures, there's this number 12. The 12, the chromatic scale, it's 12 pitches, each a semitone above or below its adjacent pitches. So the 13th one is the same note as the 8th note, and 8 represents infinity. Okay? The shape of 8 represents infinity. And the 13th one would be Jesus. It would be the sun. It would be the Christ consciousness, or sound, or frequency. Okay? Christ frequency 13 is a representation of that. So it takes 13 steps to get from C to C again. Okay? The only difference between these notes is cycles per second. There are 11 cycles per second between each of these notes. Multiples of 11. That means 11, 22, 33, 44. So this is very important for you to understand, because many of you today are starting to see these numbers pop up, 1111 or 222, 333, 444, and you're wondering why they're in sequence like this. And it's because they all correlate to musical notes and to frequencies and to sound. The number 11 is associated with spiritual illumination and our inner teacher. So 11 is when you begin to start hearing your intuition and that spiritual part of yourself speak louder and rise up, and start connecting with the frequencies and the harmonies of the earth. So the earth is calling right now and speaking to you through these numbers and notes. And pay attention to them, because they will guide you. They will lead you in the direction that you're supposed to go in. And if you've ever studied quantum physics, then you realize that anytime there's an interference pattern, that means that a world of infinite possibilities become finite, because an interference pattern, it blocks that wave from being infinite. It breaks it up into fragments, and when things are broken up, they become manifest and they become solid into our reality. So we have fallen from, we're falling in frequency, or we have fell in frequency, and that's what the fallen angels means. Just basically that we went from such a high, fast frequency down to a low, slow frequency where we become solid and kind of like stagnant. And I don't know if any of you have heard of the Schumann resonance, but so the Schumann resonance vibrates at 7.83 hertz, which is 7.83 cycles per second. That's the Earth's vibrational frequency, and apparently it matches, it matched our alpha wave when it was discovered. And the way that they found out that the Schumann resonance was in sync with our alpha wave was the guy who discovered the EEG. When he used that to evaluate the electrical activity in the brain, then they saw that the brain frequency at that time was the same as the resonance that the earth has around it. So all resonance means is a resounding, like an echo. So we are made in the image of our creator. Whether you call God generation, operation, and dissolution, which is exactly the creative pattern of the earth. So whether you refer to God as the earth or energy or whatever, it all follows the same laws of the universe. And it it goes back to sound. What did it say? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Word is a sound, a frequency, and the powers that we have are in our words, which are created by our mind. They have also measured thoughts in the form of frequency. And so one of the seven hermetic principles, or actually the first one that governs all the others, is that the universe is mental, and all is mind. You've heard many times mind over matter. This comes from some place. All of these things that you've been hearing in these old sayings, they all mean something. And when you get in tune with the earth, when you start seeing these repetitive 11s, and see them double and triple and quadruple, then the earth, you are beginning to hear through numbers. Okay, and there are many ways to hear. You can hear through seeing the numbers, you can hear through color, you can hear through seeing shapes. This is how a lot of autistic people discover that there's another world outside of where they're being forced to live in and make sense of. If we paid them more attention, we would be able to understand that there's something going on that's beyond our capabilities of understanding, at least most of us.
Life is but a dream.